Damas and Heren, welcome to episode 008 of The Quick and the Brave. I'm Obi. I'm joined with
Marie-Anne, hello. We're joining you today because we want to talk a little bit about the latest updates from the government measures around coronavirus, but also talk a little bit about what we want to do in this period, because we all know we're in it for a little while yet. So if in case you did miss the news, or in case you're outside of the Netherlands, so we heard the announcement on the 31st of March from Prime Minister Mark Rutte that special measures here are going to be extended until at least the 28th of April. So that will mean that cafes, restaurants, museums, schools are going to be shut for at least 4 weeks. That's a long time.
Was my intro okay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, we can carry on now. It's cool.
I'm just going to edit this bit out.
No, keep it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like it.
Alright.
Shows
a little bit of
authenticity.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. So we're going to be until at least the 28th of April. The quarantine measures that have been in place so far are going to continue. We also know that the gatherings of 100 people or more is still going to be until the 1st of June.
So that's any festivals, outdoor concerts, meetups, conferences, and obviously any kind of major employment, big buildings, huge companies.
Yeah, it's gonna change things as we know it for the foreseeable.
I think it's gonna change the way that the world operates forever.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I don't know how you can go from a pandemic to being back to normal.
True.
I think people are pretty wise now to what's happening, or the shortcomings of governments, especially looking at places like America, and the lack of speed at which they reacted. I think it's totally fair and safe to say, because it's true. We're seeing it now.
Yeah.
We're fortunate enough to be living in the Netherlands, and I really say that with hand on heart. I couldn't even imagine being in London right now. As far as I'm aware, still the underground's still running.
That's gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really uncomfortable, and that's even not even thinking about places much further afield. So I think the first cases were confirmed in Mumbai, like in the slums in Mumbai this week, which is a lot to try to think about. So
I mean,
trying to focus on the immediate of what we can control, and which isn't much right now, but it's like our immediate space is kind of what we can influence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think obviously our goal for these podcasts isn't to incite any fear or anything. This is really about just sharing what is actually going on out there, and to just try and put things into perspective, because at the end of the day, I think, and understandably, even for us being in the Netherlands, there's still times I wake up 3 a.m. just in my own head, just like so many things going through, having to pace around in the apartment. And there's a part of me that will always feel a little bit like angry at myself, or sorry for myself for feeling that way, and feeling kind of like powerless or whatever. But when you really put it into perspective as to where we are and the opportunity we got, like we really have to, as humanity, as a world family, really look at the effects of this virus in the places that aren't as lucky as us. And that's other places in the West as well. That's not just because it's not just like, not everywhere is Netherlands.
Of course,
not everywhere has that resource where they can afford to even consider the idea of freeing up money for freelancers and small businesses and having tax relief, etc. Like that's a huge blessing.
Yeah,
that means you can literally, even if it's not great, and even if you have been on now your 3.5 week of working from home, you've got hope. And yeah,
of
there's
stability in some way.
yeah,
At least for a portion of people who live here, because obviously
yeah,
we're by no means. I think what is so hard to articulate is because we can only really think about our immediate experience,
yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely.
knowing that there are people who are a lot less fortunate,
Yeah,
from, let's say, a financial perspective, who are really going through it for their own reasons as well, on
for
top of
sure.
this sense of grief, because ultimately that is what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why people are kind of trying to figure it out, and we haven't necessarily been able to, we've not been able to think of it in terms of vocabulary, unless you kind of really delve into a few articles and realize, okay, yeah, it is a grief, and there are stages to that, and how do you apply that to something that is what it is right now? it's yeah. So I guess, yeah, that's, yeah. Whilst we're in the context of where we are here, the rate of cases is stabilizing at the moment, which is really, really promising. But obviously, that still means that we need to be careful with physical distancing, making sure that we are, doing our part in as much as any individual can. And yeah, we want to see how we at the Quick and the Brave can support and help out at this very strange time.
That's good news. The fact that it's that cases are slowing down. Is that right?
It's, yeah, the
Saw that on
rate of so there was an article that we found.
that's on the Dutch news.
Dutch
News dot NL. My friends back home.
Sorry. The statistics show that lockdowns are slowing the rate of infection.
Yeah.
So
in a nutshell, basically, by us following the recommendations on that the cases have slowed down. So, being aware of social distancing, businesses and people complying with the advice, working from home, isolation, that it's actually working, and it's worked. And again, we should be extremely grateful that we are in a space where that is happening.
Yeah.
Where we can still have these kind of conversations,
and where flattening the curve is actually working, and actioned as well. Because I think there's been the speed with which the government here decided to react with things was fast. Oh, like, okay, life is different now. Cool, okay. And also, I think that there was a kind of a sense of suspended belief for a lot of people. It's like, okay, but is this going to work? And now that we can have some statistics behind it that show that it is, it's just a matter of keeping on with what we're doing collectively. So not just you and I on the mics, but everyone listening, everyone who is trying to do the most that they can.
I mean, that doesn't mean that we're out of this, we're out of the valley, by no means. It just means
there's a way to go.
It just means there is a kind of path that we can follow, which will get us out of here. So with that, now we know that what we can do and where we're at, etc. We know that as creatives, as people working in this industry, as writers, documentarists, that's not a word.
Documentary makers. Let's just make it into 2 words. Why overcomplicate it?
Oh my god. Anyway, as
assorted creatives.
As people working in this industry who have access to this resource, I feel like we have a duty to really try and reach out to others now as well, and to share what it is we're trying to do to other people who are vulnerable and to other people who can contribute.
True.
Because that's what society is meant to be about at the end of the day. And I think it's a good period for us to kind of step up to that. we see how it's going with media, and I think we also understand that where there have been so many marginalized voices, it should really be time for those kind of independent bodies to come together and start really looking at how we redefine the world after we come out of this. Because the truth is, it's not like sometimes I was feeling like the world's broken, but it's not really. Like, actually, it was just society that was broken, because if you look at the actual world, the world has just continued to keep on healing since this pandemic's arrived. Like, water's gotten clearer, air's gotten clearer, animals are starting to flood the land again. So
the world is still in orbit.
It's doing fine.
The planet
Humanity
is okay.
is a bit fractured, and obviously the leader of the house in the Western world, without pointing any fingers, but we know where that finger's pointing. That represents a way of life that is just not going to work in the new world. Like this whole kind of braggadocio, there's no problem. We can just, we'll just work our way through it. We're going to be strong. The strong ones are going to be fine. The weak ones are going to die off. Like, we all know that's not how it's meant to be, Like, you're not meant to just go through life and just only giving a damn about, like, people who are all right already. And
exactly.
Everyone else gets, like, flicked off the table. Like, that shouldn't be the thing that drives us as humanity. And at the end of the day, if this was any other kind of war, we would be looking towards our soldiers and having to ask some questions that might be uncomfortable as well. And in this case, our only soldiers, and correct me if I'm wrong, are the medical world, is the medical world. And, like, the good doctors and nurses who are coming out and literally, like, kicking this virus,
frontline,
doing the best they can to kick
actually
the
frontline workers. And it's I need to check in on some friends who are working in the medical field at the minute, because just purely just those little acts of support to let those people know that we appreciate the work you're doing. We can't comprehend what it is that you're having to deal with by having to be on the front line and do all of these things. So I'm gonna be texting you soon.
But this is really a war.
It is, because it's something that we can only weapons aren't gonna defeat. They can't defeat this.
No. So all the harboring of nuclear arms and all those extra reps in the military, like, we're going to get bigger guns, bigger bullets, and we're going to be stronger than this country, and this country is stronger than that country. When it comes down to it, we are fucking vulnerable.
Yeah. And we're fighting against something which is a microorganism.
For sure. Like, are we doing enough for the medical stuff, for the medical world? Like, have we supported them enough? And it's great. The clapping's really cool. It raises spirits, etc. But in
terms of resource, like, they need resource right now.
Yeah.
It's like from everything from ventilators to hand gels to masks to everything. And I think it's been really interesting to see also, like, the impact that has had on the day-to-day market. So if you were to go to a pharmacy, I have family who live quite far away in the Southern Hemisphere, and they're also in quarantine right now. But I have family members who care for elders in the family and need basics like what are they called, like medical gloves. And the price had doubled in the space of a week over the space of this quarantine coming into action. So it shows, obviously, the demand is going to increase at that point, but then the people that have always depended on these kinds of these kinds of resources, and then suddenly it's just like almost like a black market happening in a legitimate shop.
For sure.
And it's like, what, that can't possibly be right. Just like, how is there such a I don't know, like I don't even know how to formulate how angry that makes me. But I think it's something that's also been seen worldwide, that prices of everything have just increased that are specifically medically related.
Yeah. I have friends who work in finance sector, and they're like, but oil's dropping. Price of oil's cheaper, and some of these guys, like, very intelligent people as well, they're also looking at this and they're like, this is effed up, because they also know like a handful, 1 or 2 billionaires could solve this problem, could solve these problems very soon. But this pandemic really says more about who we are today as a race, as a human race, and what happens after it is really going to determine the fate of where we go, you know, because we've seen it's not working, and your anger isn't necessarily, your anger isn't invalid, you know. It's just, what do we do with that anger? What do you do with that energy? Because you're probably not the only one who's thinking that. You can't be the only one that's thinking that, because we're all feeling that in a way. Of course,
yeah. We all experience. There are some very universal things that I think we're all experiencing at this time, but then we all have slightly different nuances of the depth of that experience in different ways. So say, if you have all of your family members are doctors or nurses or work in a hospital in some capacity, or you have I don't know, you're caring for elderly members of your family. How are you thinking about that? It's a lot. It's a lot to comprehend, and I'm clearly not very good at articulating it right now, because it's still something that I'm thinking about and trying to understand. I think it's normal. I think it's normal given how strange everything is.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that we're doing enough to protect our military, in this case, the medical world, the medical staff?
No, I don't think so. I'm not someone who works in government who has to say so on how resources are managed. Obviously, if we saw what was happening in China so many weeks and months ago, I don't think anyone further west could fathom whether that, and I mean blanket, no one could fathom what was going to be coming this way. So we're like, we can prepare, but I don't think there was anything we could necessarily have done to be 100% prepared.
Yeah,
including medical teams that are already safe. I think in the UK, the NHS is already super stretched, and some of the statistics coming out of the UK right now are kind of scary.
I see where you're coming from with it. My only concern is if we all have the opinion of, I'm not in government, so I can't determine anything. But we pay tax. We live in the place. We have free media. We have open media to some degree. So why can't you have an opinion on it? True. And that's again, again, just boiling down to the fact of how fortunate we are. If you do have a voice and you're able to, this is really the time to start using it. Because if we stay on the sidelines and say, hey, this is effed up, our government's done X, Y, and Z. Oh, they should have done this, should have done that. Nothing's stopping us from, just like this podcast right now, nothing's stopping us from just putting an opinion forward, putting a feeling forward, an idea. That's how things just roll forwards. We can't be on the sideline anymore. Yeah. So why don't we just take that same energy and try and follow things forward? Because God knows we need each other in these times. Because we are living in a really pivotal time, and it's our I don't even want to say something like our God-given right, but it is our right as free human beings to question our government if they're fucking up.
Someone has to be held to account.
For sure.
Yeah.
And also to rally together and to know that we're not powerless.
I think that's the most important, really, isn't it? Is that sense of we are a community, and we can rally together, even with these physical distances that we have to have between us right now. Is like, how can we create a sense of community, not just for this period whilst we're in a quarantine or lockdown, whichever situation you find yourself in, but beyond that, because what was normal before isn't going to be normal again. It can't be. So how do we reset and create our new boundaries of it and understanding of what does normal mean now? Because I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, what is that going to look like when we come out the other side of, when we can actually just mingle with other people in shops and stuff and go to gigs and like just touch someone's face. I'm not going to just randomly, I might just go over to a random stranger, just like, I wanted to touch your face.
I bet there'll be lots of that happening. And the rest.
Boy. I digress. What is that going to look like? So we need to take stock of what is happening now and process whatever we are dealing with right now. But also, feel less powerless by being active and doing something when we feel able to as well.
I mean, okay, so right now we have, we know that we're stuck in this bitch until the 28th of April. So, and that's a 4-week lockdown. Cafes, restaurants, museums, schools shut. Until the 28th. Deep down, I mean, we'll probably be a little naive if we think that it's just going to be the 28th and then the world's going to be fine again.
Yeah, everything will be better.
Most likely they're going to announce it's going to be a slight extension or whatever. But whatever. We know we have until that as a hard date. So, like, what do we do until then? Because I don't just want to keep staring at the ceiling and feel powerless. I'm not here for that. And I know a lot of the people who are listening in, a lot of people who have messaged us directly off the back of podcast 007 have also reached out. So
and thank you also for your feedback, because as much as we're doing this because it feels right for us, we also don't kind of know if how people are receiving it, if people are necessarily engaging with it, feeling seen and understood. And so far, it sounds like people are really getting what we're saying. So thanks for letting us know.
Thanks to those creatives, to those individuals who have reached out. And we know that this quarantine is not great, and we want to try and make the most out of this unfortunate situation. And we've looked at a few options of how we can get together, how we can respect the current laws or rules, of social distancing. And I think we can make it work. We've had a few ideas. So, so if there's any of you out there who would be interested in being a part of this, joining these conversations, putting your questions, arguments, points forward,
sharing your experiences as well.
Like
what creative avenues are you taking right now that maybe veer from what you were doing before? How are you adapting? Are you finding that you're not creating at all because you're just trying to process everything? Because I think for a lot of creatives, mainly one of their coping mechanisms is to kind of throw themselves more into what they've always done. But is that still the case now? Are there people who are just kind of like taking a back seat and just trying to digest before going back into what a new creative process could be?
And I think at this point that there aren't any
there's
wrong
no wrong
answers.
Exactly.
Like whether you want to become super productive and proactive, or whether you just need to sit down and just meditate and contemplate. Like there's nothing wrong with either option. And I think probably where we're at is with the with this podcast, with the resource around us, we feel like we just want to share that.
Yeah, there's been a gap.
Keep creating.
Make things, please, because it makes other people feel good too.
Yeah, for real though. For real. And selfishly, it'll probably make you feel good too.
So we've been working on a few different ideas that we hope would really help to connect with you all.
Yeah.
Because it is an uncomfortable time. Let's not shy away from that. So if you can be reassured by some of the content that we can get out there. So with going down the avenues of like self-care, culture, entertainment, education, also news, because it is important to stay informed, but in a safe way that doesn't overwhelm you either. So yeah, that's kind of the vibe of what we're trying to achieve at the moment is just helping people feel less alone in a world where there's a whole lot of vocabulary spinning around about being by yourself, and let's try and break through that.
Yeah, let's break through. So hit us up. Yeah, slide into those DMs, and we'll be more than happy to share some ideas on what we've got in mind. Some remote podcasting that we want to do with people, maybe using an additional space or having remote link ups.
Anything that basically everything that we're going to make is also going to we're going to ensure that the people that we're working alongside are also safe. So no one needs to feel compromised.
So just to be super duper abundantly clear, anything that we're doing in this period, we are going to be working within the guidelines set by the government to ensure that we're mindfully respectful of the pandemic that we're in. We're not here to have any shortcuts in this. Like, if we're going to do this, we should do it properly and just do it safely. But this isn't just about Marie-Anne and Obi show. It really is about sharing what's going on in our community and being a part of this, this global family. So yeah, let's get together. Like, if now isn't the time to link and build, then I don't know when is.
Yeah.
Like for real. I like, to be honest, on a personal note, like, I don't want to come out of the end of this pandemic and feel like I've done nothing to contribute. Like, whether that's just caring for a neighbor or sharing some good advice or
calling family more.
Family.
Yeah, because it doesn't need to be big things. I think it's really about instilling compassion more into what we do in everything we do. Yeah. Really. So it really doesn't have to be a big overblown thing. It can just be those little gestures that make all the difference. Or it can be, creating something that can be shared with other people that lifts them as well. Like, there's a whole scale of how we can work through this.
Yeah, because media is no joke, man. Like, this thing that we're in is really, you can really use it to uplift and educate and inspire people, and that's exactly what we should be doing. Like inform, educate, inspire, and build. Like, we know that the shortcomings from governments, we know what's been going on in the West, we know how we feel about certain things deep down. But if there was ever a time to have that self-belief and to come together and just be fucking fearless and just like spread your good energy, spread your joy, and share whatever it is you've got, like, it's now. Like,
because everyone is feeling different ways and experiencing different things right now. So if creating right now is something that will not only help you but help others, then let's go for it.
Whilst maintaining physical distance.
Whilst maintaining physical distance at all times.
I know probably I've been a little bit bit militant in this podcast, but like shit's real, man. Like shit, it's real.
Yeah.
It's too real to fake, and we have a responsibility, like all of us who are lucky enough to be here in this city, country right now, or whoever, wherever in the world, like we have an opportunity to really shape how things should be in the future, because the world will never be the same after this, like literally. And we know that. And I'm not saying like, yeah, we need to like overthrow X, Y, or Z. Like, it's not even about that. It's just, it's about ourselves.
Yeah, it's a shift in mindset.
Yeah, how we let the narrative of humanity play out in this. So yeah, if you really want whatever it is, man, like we want to, this is the time to experiment and to put things forward and to build and to, like you said, Marie-Anne, just to be able to show and share compassion, because over and above everything else, that's what you need. That's what we all need, and we can all learn from each other.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
link and build.
On that note, if you are a creative, particularly based in Amsterdam, but you don't necessarily have to, because we have technology. So yeah, just let us know what you want to contribute, how you want to help. Hit us up in the DMs. That's on Instagram at The Quick and the Brave.
Come on.
You can also, if you tag, we're going to be tagged in the videos and what have you on Instagram. So you can also DM us personally, and we will, let's do a thing. Let's do a thing, because now is the time.